Hello everybody, welcome to another video on the channel, and today I will be reviewing the Zenit EM camera. The Zenit EM camera was produced in the Soviet Union from 1972 to 1984. It was produced only in the KMZ factory, that is the Krasnogorsk mechanical plant. They made roughly 1 million units, and the cameras come in this silver color, black color, and they come in Olympics color, which has Moskva 80 or Atower Moskva 80, and they came in Olympics in black and silver colors, and also standard in black and silver colors. Most of them had a flash socket. This particular one doesn't have it. I will tell you why later, but that is accurate because, as you can see in the manual, it doesn't have a flash socket. So this camera is a modernization of the Zenit E camera, hence the EM. The M can be either modernized or modified. And what they did was to update some things into this camera compared to the E to make it more usable. And for doing so, I'm going to take a Zenit E and illustrate you through the changes. So the first change was here in the counting and shooting mechanism. This is the Zenit E, and as you can see, the counting for the film shot is big, and it has the button incorporated in the same film counter. While in the Zenit EM, the counter is from another style. It is smaller, and it doesn't have the shooter button. The shooter button went to another position right here. In the Zenit E, the mechanism for letting the film free in order to rewind it is this button here that you have to keep pressed, while in the Zenit EM they change it, and it is now this twisting action. A very minor change, but that is also a change, is the lever for selecting the type of flash. In the Zenit E is this aluminum looking, this metal looking lever, while in the Zenit EM is this knob. Those are the changes in the controls. The light metering mechanism is the same in both cameras. They didn't change anything there. The opening for the door is equal, is this lever you open. However, in all the EMs, it is spring loaded, while in some E's, like this one, the mechanism is not spring loaded. So that's a minimum thing to consider. But the most important change made to these cameras was the addition of a lever to opening lenses. You can see this black thing there works forward when you push slightly the shooting button, while in the Zenit E that doesn't happen because the Zenit E doesn't have that mechanism. As you can see, I'm pressing the shooting button and nothing happens because the Zenit E doesn't have that mechanism. And the function of that mechanism is to operate the diaphragm of lenses that have this little bar protruding. When you push that lever, it closes the diaphragm of the lens, and that's the most significant modernization they did to the Zenit E compared to the Zenit EM. They added that mechanism in order to close the lenses that operate with that surface, because the older lenses like this doesn't have that mechanism, and they close automatically the diaphragm. So that is the main change between those two cameras. They changed some things on the controls, and they they added this mechanism to the Zenit E, that lens closing mechanism. Now, let's run to the controls and how to load and use this camera. So, know your controls. This is the shooting counter mechanism. This is the button for shooting. This is the speed selector. This is the flash selector. X is electronic. MF is bulb flash. This is your light metering assembly. On the front you have the light socket connection. This is for the flash, and you have your timer mechanism and your timer release. And in the door you have your door opening mechanism. Now, how do you use this camera? First, you need your film and you're ready. Because this camera is fully mechanical, it has a selenium light meter system, so you don't need batteries to operate it or to calculate the light with it. So you have your film, you open your camera by pulling up this lever that opens the tray, you open it, then you push this button in the middle all the way down and twist it slightly while you are pushing it to the left, like so, and like that it pops up. When it pops up, you simply pull it up, take your film, put it facing down, like so, you put it in that hole, then you close this, and if it doesn't goes down all the way, you twist it slightly in order to calculate it, to put it in the right place. And when you pull it all the way down, you now twist it slightly to the right, and that locks that button, as you can see. Once that is ready, you take your film, you drag it, and you then push it into one of these slots. So you put it in one slot as far as you can, hold it, and then while the film is in that slot, you cock this lever forward, and this should happen. If that happened and you see this, your camera loaded correctly, and then you close the door. And then you shoot one time, two times, and notice that when you are cocking this lever, this button is moving. 3 times. If you shoot it 3 times and you saw this moving, you are in a good path. That means your film is loaded correctly. Then you load it once more. That will be the 4th time you load it. And then you reset your counter to 0. So you align the 0 to the red arrow it has by moving the counter like this. You move it to 0. And then it will start counting film, your pictures. Then you go to the other side of the camera and you set your ISO value. You have to check what is the ISO value on your film, and bear in mind that this camera is designed to operate with up to 500 ISO to 16 ISO. So if you buy an 800 ISO lens, the incorporated metering system won't work. So let's assume that we put a 200 ISO film, and in order to calibrate that, we look in this left window right here, and we put it into 200. As you can see, this doesn't have 200, but it has from 130 to 250. So you put it between 130 and 250. That is the place where 200 is located. So right there you have set your ISO, and you can start shooting. You don't move this. You don't need to move this once you have positioned it to 200 or whatever ISO you have. So it is ISO 100. You search 100. There is no 100, but there is 65 and 130. You put it between it, and that is where 100 is. So let's pretend our ISO is 200. We put it there. Great. Now that we have set our ISO, we can start shooting. So you point whatever you want to shoot, and in order to use the light metering system, you see this silver needle and this loop in there. And note that when you point the camera towards the light, the silver needle moves depending on the light. With my finger, I am blocking the sensor. So when it receives light, it interacts. When it doesn't receive light, it interacts. So what you do is you point your camera to where your shot is going to be, to where your photograph is going to be. And the way to operate it is that once you have you positioned your camera to where the photo is going to be you move the loop while with moving this whole assembly. So you can see I'm moving this knob. The upper part doesn't move, but this lower part does. And when I'm moving this, I'm moving the loop. And what I need to do is to make the loop match the needle right there, right in the center. It is matching. And then, as I have my ISO selected, this upper part shows the diaphragm openings of the lens from 2 to 32. And this lower part shows the speeds of the camera. So right there you have a matching needle, and you see that for a diaphragm of 2 you have to shoot it in 60. For a diaphragm of 2.8 you have to shoot it roughly between 30 and 1/60th of a second. I will shoot it in 30, and that's how you measure the light. So let's do it with a higher value. We match the needle right there, and then we check. Our diaphragm would be 2.8 and our speed will be 250 at 2.8. So once you have that information, you load, you select 250, which is the speed, and then the diaphragm, which is 2.8 diaphragm, 250 speed. So remember, the upper part is the diaphragm closure and the lower part is the speeds of the camera. And what you do is you align the depending on the ISO, the speeds with the diaphragm openings. So this is pretty much a mechanical calculator. This is graduated with centimeters and all to where the light is, depending on the position of the silver lever, which is very interesting, very cool, very primitive, but very cool. So remember, you point the camera where the field, where the shot is going to be, you line the loop to the silver thing, and you check your diaphragm, 2.8, and then your speed, 2.8 at 500 this time. And you simply load, program the speed, 500, and shoot with your diaphragm. I hope that is clear. If someone wants a more dedicated video on how to use this manual system, I can do it, but I hope that's clear. Now, a peculiarity of this camera, both for the Zenit E and this camera, is that in order to change the speed of the camera, you have to cock the mechanism. And what I mean is by this. Cocking the mechanism means doing this. Loading the camera, and then once you have loaded, you can change the speed to whatever speed you want. Because of the way this mechanism is designed, if you change the speed without the mechanism loaded, you will damage the camera. So if you do this, you load, you take your picture, and then you change your speed, you have killed your camera. So remember, if you're going to change the speed on this camera, you load, and then program the speed of the camera, like so, and you can keep shooting. Oh, I want to change speeds again, I load and change. Always the mechanism has to be cocked in order to change it. If you don't have the mechanism cocked and change the speed, you damage it. So if I cocked and shoot and don't load it again and change the speed, I kill this camera. So always load. And in order to change the speeds, you don't simply twist this button around, you pull it up and then you twist it to your desired speed. Remember, pull it up and switch to the speed. Pull it up and switch to the speed. As long as the mechanism is cocked, because if the mechanism is not cocked, you will damage your camera and you will lose your money and you will regret it. So remember, in order to change the speed, cock the mechanism, pull the lever, the knob up, and then twist it to your desired speed. And you can keep shooting. With that you can shoot. Also, if you want to use the timer mechanism. You load your camera, you measure your light, you calibrate everything as if you were going to take a normal picture, and then you twist this lever all the way down. That gives you around 10 to 7 seconds, and then you press this button, and that will release the counter and it will shoot. It automatically shooted. After, you have to wait until the lever goes down. Once it stops, you push this one more time to make sure all the pressure is gone in the spring, and you are ready. So if you're going to take pictures with the timing mechanism, remember that you first calculate everything in the light. You cock, you make your light measuring, you program your speed, you program your diaphragm, and in this camera, with this lens, f44M, you have to lock the diaphragm by using this knob right here. You twist it, and like that the diaphragm is closed automatically. If not, the diaphragm won't close and you won't have correct light exposure. So you program your diaphragm. You first load, measure your light, your speed, program everything in the camera, program the diaphragm, leave the diaphragm closed, rewind the mechanism, and operate it. And the camera will make the picture for you. Again, like 10 seconds, 7 seconds, it shoots. And then you wait until this closes, push it one more time, and you're ready to go. So let's pretend you have shooted all your roll, all your film roll. Remember, you have your counter. This is a 24 film roll, I believe. There it stopped. This is my last picture. So once you have done that, in order to rewind the film, once you have taken all your pictures, what you do is the shooting button, you press it down all the way and then twist it to the left. And then you twist this other button, the red dot, to the R position, like so, to the R position. And then you push this button, turn it slightly to the left, it pops up, and then you rewind in the arrow direction, that is winding it to the right. This system is very uncomfortable. It takes a lot of time. I prefer a lever, but it is what it is. It is what the camera has. So you rewind this until you hear a pop and a change in the pressure of the mechanism. In any second you will hear the pop. As you see, it's a messy system. I don't like it a lot. That was the pop. You rewind a little more and then you open the tray and your film is ready to be extracted. You pop this up and your film is ready to be developed. You save it and develop it. Then you close your tray, close your button, twist it, and that's it. After that, you take your camera and move the dot to the red dot again, like this, twist it, and then you push the shooting button, twist it to the right, and it goes up again. And what you do is you load the camera and shoot it several times until it shoots normally, and that means that it goes from here to here when you load it. And like that, you are ready to store your camera again. Recommendations, always cover this light port, because that will give it more life to it. So I use black electrical tape. You put it there and it protects the light. If not, keep it always sealed in here in the leather case. and it will be safe. So don't put this, don't store it into direct sunlight, into wet places, and only when you are shooting, and if you're not going to shoot for long periods of time, protect this section with black electrical tape, or putting it inside its case, so that you protect the light metering system and it lasts longer. Most of these cameras have a flash socket. I had to remove the one this camera had because it was broken, so I replaced it with the one that was in this camera, that is this visor, but they usually, all of them, have flash sockets. The way you check this camera is how you check every other Zenit. You simply take it, open it, and cock the thing through all the speeds. You shoot all the speeds, and in all the speeds the curtain should go like this, and when you shoot it, it opens and closes fastly without any problem. For any speed, that should work. And in B speed, when you left the button pressed, it should open, and when you release it, it closes fastly without problem. That's how you check it. You take the camera, load it, and do this for all the speeds. You check it, and if the curtain moves like this, and when you shoot, opens and closes without any problem. The mechanical part of the camera is good, so you can take it or buy it or use it. If this doesn't happen and the camera gets stuck, or when you do this and one of the curtains doesn't close all the way, the camera is bad, you will have to fix it with a mechanic. And for checking the light system, you simply point this thing to the light, and when you point it to the light, this needle moves, and when you close it, it moves. If this needle reacts to the light, it means that the selenium metering is working fine. So I hope you have enjoyed and understand this review. Leave your comments below, any doubts, questions, whatever. Thanks a lot for watching, and stay tuned for more Zenit reviews. I have a TTL ET to review, and any doubts, anything that is not clear in this video, you want a special video about, how do I use this, how do I do this, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, good day.